going on, everybody? Y'all bear with me. I am driving, so y'all know I'm not going to really be able to look at the camera as much, but hope everybody is having a good day. I wanted to talk to you all about something really quick. You know, I was seeing, and it's not that I didn't know this, but I guess when you see things, sometimes things jump out at me. So I have been noticing that a lot of people were talking about how 2023 was such a difficult year. They were talking about the different challenges, and I've seen that before, but I don't know why. For me, at least, this is just my personal experience, it seemed like everybody, and I'm using everybody loosely, but the mass majority talked about how difficult 2023 was. And I actually began to think about even my own personal experience of what I kind of experienced in other years based on what I can recall. And then I was kind of analyzing 2023. And I was like, you know what? I actually can see that. 2023 was definitely mentally and emotionally exhausting. There was a lot of challenges. Like even when we went through the whole COVID thing, that was difficult. But 2023, when I started to read how people were saying, I'm so glad I'm out of 2023, or just began to talk about what their 2023 looks like. And then a couple of people that I counsel, was saying the same thing. I was like, man, I can understand that. One thing we have to really try our best to remember is our level of resiliency. This is kind of a side note. My son and I were having a conversation about something, and what we were having the conversation with, my eyes began to open up of a different level of understanding of who he is, even at his young, tender age of 13. And I remember saying to him, son, I was like, I really didn't even know that XYZ. And I said, man, you are very resilient. I said, you have to give yourself credit. I said, because the average 13-year-old, at the time that situation or that scenario was happening around 11, 12, 13. I'm like, man. And so I'm just on here to just give a little bit of encouragement, just to let you all know, and this is including myself, that no matter how hard the enemy tries to fight you, you have to remember that you're resilient. No matter how hard the enemy tries to attack you, he's going to throw everything your way. And I say this so much. If you've been following me long enough, you'll know I say this. If you have not, welcome to the channel. But I say this so much is, now doggone it, I just lost my train of thought. What was I getting ready to say? Basically, I don't even remember what I was getting ready to say. Wow. But you just have to remember how resilient you are. You have to give yourself credit for the things that you endure. Oh, I just remember. I was talking about how the enemy will do whatever he can to attack you, to come against you. And here's one of the things that I say often. It'll come from your inner circle. And I know this can be challenging because it doesn't necessarily mean that everybody that has worked against you, that has betrayed you, that has disappointed you, doesn't always mean that they're evil. But see, the devil understands the impact. I give this example all the time. You're not going to have a squabble or a beef with the person at Circle K, or the person at your Circle K is a gas station, or a person at your local grocery store, or you're not going to have you're not going to throw a tizzy over the person at a restaurant. You might not like the way they do business. You might not like the way they handle customer service or what have you, but it's not going to inflict you to a degree as if when it's somebody you love, you care about, you're invested in. Because here's the thing, if he can allow those situations to cause us to have a breach in the family dynamic, whether that's a marriage, whether that's a sister, if he can cause you to have an illegal breach Meaning, you hold on to unforgiveness too long. Meaning, you don't look at the other perspective and realize, you know what, maybe I didn't say everything right either during that conversation. Meaning, you know what, maybe I'm carrying a little bit of baggage, so some of the things that they said, I took it a little bit more personal because I'm not mentally well. I'm not emotionally stable. I'm still harboring some unforgiveness. You understand? See, whatever the devil can do to try to create a breach in partnership, togetherness, oneness, wholeness, that's what he'll do. He doesn't have a desire for you to be whole. He doesn't have a desire for you to feel free. He has no desire for you to have peace. I'm not even talking about, well, possibly maybe on Tuesday. He has no desire. His desire and his goal is to steal, kill, and destroy. That's it. So by any means necessary, the devil's not going to play by the rules and say this is off limits. You know, when people have, if you're familiar sometimes with some, well, quote unquote street code, there's certain levels that even rivalry gangs have an understanding. There's certain rules that they have an understanding. Hey, you don't touch my wife, I don't touch your wife. You don't hurt my children, I don't harm your children. Right? I mean, things kind of seem a little bit different now, but you understand what I'm saying? The devil will never play by the rules. The devil will never let up. The devil will never feel bad for you. The devil will never say, man, let me give him a second chance. The devil will never have remorse in his heart because he sees you cry. The devil will never say, maybe we going too hard because he see you tormented. He'll never say those things. Pardon me. He'll never say those things. He'll never sit in that posture. He's coming to steal, kill, and destroy. And it's so amazing that the Bible uses those words to articulate the kind of individual that the devil is. To let you know this is what he's out to do. If you stealing, you taking everything. If you destroying, you leaving a person with nothing. If you kill him, that speaks for itself. And so, although the year was difficult, although there was some challenges, and there's still going to be some challenges, and there's still going to be some difficulties, even though you may not have made it according to what you may think is making it, even though you may not have beat some of the things you felt I could have done better, but you done something. You overcame something. You beat something because you made it. And I know that sounds cliche, but when you think about how serious that thing is, when a situation and or a person, or when the enemy is using people to steal, kill, and destroy who you are, you gotta understand, wait a minute, I'm more resilient than I thought. Because see, what the enemy wants you to do is he wants you to highlight your losses, highlight your failures, highlight the difficulties. He wants you to be engulfed and overwhelmed with what has happened to you, with who has happened to you, the why. He wants to overwhelm you with, God, make it make sense. This isn't fair. But you gotta change your mindset. The Bible says it is impossible to please God without faith. Without faith, it's impossible to please God, which is suggestive that even if you have a little bit, you're pleasing in the sight of God. God has no intention to kill, steal, or destroy you. His intention is to protect you, to love you, to comfort you. I was listening to somebody earlier and that thing hit my belly. He said, please understand that the order of protection still stands. God is obligated to protect you. The order of protection over your life, over your stuff, over your mind, it still stands. The order of protection is still in effect. And if you know anything about an order of protection in the natural, something has to happen. You have to be violated in some way, shape, or form so that the courts can deem that the individual is not allowed to be around you within a certain amount of feet, my God, without a consequence. The Lord is obligated to protect you. I know it felt like the devil was close, but you still here. The order of protection is still in force. I know you felt like it wasn't fair, but you still here. The order of protection is still in force. You ain't lost it all like you think. You didn't come out at the bottom like you think. You didn't come out with the short end of the stick like you think. Don't let the enemy trick you into that so that more doubt can set in, more fear can set in, more failure can set in. The Lord said, no. Don't focus on that. I'm obligated to protect you. The devil was only able to get so close to Job. He touched materials. And yes, some of his family members, but guess what we found out about them? They wasn't in right standing with God anyway. How about it? So God is obligated to see about you. He's obligated to protect you. I know it was rough. I know it was difficult. I know you said it wasn't fair. I know you cried alone. I know you cried privately. And I know you still got up and act like everything was okay. And I know it was rough. But you better focus on how resilient you are. You better focus on, how did I make it through that? How was I able to overcome that? And here's what the devil will do. He'll try to make you come into 2024 while we're in 2024 with the same mindset. But you got to get your second win. We have to know that life is not always going to be peaches and cream. But that don't mean God ain't on your side. How do I know? Because even when Jesus was getting nailed to the cross, God was there. Jesus is always with us. He said, I'll never leave you nor forsake you. Meaning, even when you walk away from me, I can't leave you because I'm obligated to protect you. Even when you doubt me, I can't go against my word because I'm obligated to you. We are in relationship. We're in covenant. You and I have something established between you and I. Even when you want to walk away, even when you're ready to give up, even when you like, man, God, I don't know. He said, that's okay. I won't forsake you. I can't leave you or forsake you. I don't care what you do. I'm still going to be right here. I don't care where you go. I'm still going to be right here. I don't care what your mind says. I'm still going to be right here because I can't go back on my word. So understand your level of resilience. You got to be able to tell God thank you even when it was rough, even when it was difficult, even when you cried. Because if you just wait a moment and get yourself together, He'll reveal why you had to go through that. He'll reveal why you had to experience that. He'll reveal why that situation had to happen. He'll reveal why He had to move certain people and then bring certain people in your space, or have you go into a certain healthiness of isolation with Him. We're not talking about isolated because you so broken. Isolated with Him. He'll tell you. He'll tell you what the tears was worth. He'll show you what the tears was worth. And He'll repay you for what the tears were worth. Don't let the devil have you coming into this year already making yourself think it's finna be another year like this. Because although 2023 was difficult, you was able to maintain your resiliency. You was able to still stand strong. Yeah, I know it knocked you down a little bit. I know the disappointments hurt you. I know your heart grieved. I know you felt like you was alone and you didn't have nobody to talk to, be there, comfort you, understand you. Even in your silence, with your words, with some of your angers, with some of your proclivities. I know. But see, the devil wants you to think you lost. The devil wants you to think you left 2023 with nothing and you finna remain in 2024 with nothing. That's not going to be the Lord. That's not going to be of God, and that's not going to be your story. You more resilient than you think. You more powerful than you think. Those things, as difficult as it is, I'm telling you, it builds something in you. But you have to find out what that is. You have to go to God and say, God, show me. Why did I have to go through this? Don't allow that bitterness to set in, that unforgiveness to set in, them old arguments and debates. Don't even allow the devil to allow you to bring that into certain this year that we're in. Try not to even find yourself bringing up to your spouse, your friends, or your family. Try not to even find yourself bringing up old conversations, old topics, old emotions, old feelings. You do yourself a favor and go to God and say, God, erase it like it never happened. Forget those things. See, people think that means it's going to erase your memory. That means cease to be affected by. Say, God, I don't want to debate about that no more. I don't want to argue about that no more. I don't want that thing to trigger me no more. God, let me smell it, see it, see it, experience it, taste it. Every time the devil try to remind me, I'm going to tell God thank you. I'm going to tell God this no longer affects me. I'm going to tell God that God, in you, I find strength. I find peace. I find restoration. I'm not going to keep letting that old hurt trigger me. So therefore, it continues to affect my relationship. I can't even get through the week because of the way somebody looked, the way my spouse talked, his tone of voice, her tone of voice, what my mother said, what my sister said, what my coworker said. That's not going to get me this time. Not this time. Because I know how the devil used it against me. This time I'm going to walk in total forgiveness. This time I'm going to have a renewed mind. This time, let this mind be in Christ. This time, I'm not going to be double-minded because I already know the word tells me I'm going to be unstable. Not this year. Not this time. Because now you got to get wiser. The Bible says if you ask me for wisdom, knowledge, whatever, I'll give it to you. Now you got to see exactly what the devil tried to do to use your 2023 against you. And you say, oh, that's not going to work this time. I know, because you wanted me to be crying and pitiful and broke, busted, and disgusted. You're not going to use my money against me. You're not going to use my children against me. You're not going to use their level of success or lack thereof against me. You're not going to use the trials against me, the tribulations against me, my tears, my anger, my doubts, my fears. Ain't none of that going to be used against me this year. Because guess what? As difficult as 2023 was, I learned from that. Pardon me. Devil, you thought you was going to use that against me, but you just showed me a preview of how to combat you. You just gave me insight on how to war against you. Because we wrestle not against flesh and blood. Yeah, I know they hurt me. Yeah, I know they disappointed me. But this year, I'm dealing with everything in the spirit. Last year, I used a little bit of my emotion and a little bit of my logic and a little bit of my perception and a little bit of my upbringing. But I realized I can't even trust that. Last year, I realized I trusted people a little too much. Not because we shouldn't trust people, but the Bible says, place no trust in no man, which means your trust should come from him first. You should have a trust. You should establish trust with God first so that he can show you how to navigate trust in the earth. Last year, I used what my mama said. Last year, I used what I thought was best. Not this year. Not this year. Everything that happens, I'm dealing with it in the spirit. Everything that's said about me, I'm dealing with it in the spirit. Every time somebody say something and my ears get triggered, I'm dealing with it in the spirit. This year is going to be nothing but a spiritual walk. Not just by the way that I live, but by how much time I spend with him, how much I pray, my dedication. And it's going to affect every area. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. Some of us need to get our bodies together. Some of us need to get our looks together. Some of us have lost self-esteem. Some of us need to get our mindsets together. The way we think about things. We need to get rid of old concepts, old thought processes. This year, everything is a spiritual battle. See, the devil wanted to take me out in the flesh, but what he don't realize is I just discovered this ain't nothing but a spiritual battle. This ain't nothing but a spiritual battle. See, there's a difference between natural warfare and spiritual warfare. I dare you to declare to yourself, this year I'm fighting everything in the spirit. You know why? Because you ain't even strong enough to deal with it in the flesh. You can't rationalize with the devil. You can't deal with the devil in your flesh. You can't deal with the devil with your way of thinking, with your natural thoughts. This thing is a spiritual fight. And I'm not going to wrestle against it. I'm going to deal with it in the spirit. I'm going to allow God to guide me. I'm going to allow God to overwhelm my thoughts. I'm going to allow God to replace my emotion. I'm going to allow God to replace my triggers. I'm going to allow God to do it. And I could relax. As soon as somebody started talking, see, that used to bother me. Not this year. Why? Oh, because this is a spiritual battle. I ain't thinking about what they talking about. Because first of all, you talking to me in the natural. You talking to me with the flesh of you, with your flesh, by way of using your mouth. Your words are fleshly. I can't listen to that. You can say whatever you want to say. I'm not going to receive it. It's not going to infiltrate my mind, my heart, or my spirit. And the moment my spirit is on notice, I'm finna deal with it in the spirit. That goes for everything and everybody, including yourself, including me. Jennifer, you think wait a minute, Jennifer, this your old way of thinking. I'm gonna have to, nope, Jennifer, I bind up your thoughts. You're not even smart enough to think. But in the spirit, you're wise. You're strong. You can see things before they come in. You understand? See, sometimes we put too much accolade in our flesh in the way we think, and we went to college and we're successful and we do pretty good sometimes. I don't care what my earthly accomplishments are and will be. I'm still nothing without God. I'm just talking personally for me. I don't care how smart somebody think I am. I don't care how well somebody think I articulate. I don't care if I thought, wow, I thought about X, Y, Z. That was a pretty smart way to think of it. Guess what? If I'm not thinking of it by way of the spirit, I don't trust it. Because I may think this way today and next week, come find me. Let's see what I'm thinking then. But in the spirit, I'm consistent. In the spirit, I'm resilient. In the spirit, I'm strong. In the spirit, I'm confident. In the spirit, I'm bold. In the spirit, I'm going to fight back. In the spirit, there's nothing you could tell me in the spirit. Because in the spirit, God is speaking. In the spirit, God is leading me. In the spirit, I'm only listening to him. I can't trust my flesh on my best day. You hear me? I don't care what it look like. Because the flesh is too fickle. But if I keep my mind stayed on Jesus, that when my flesh tries to pull me another direction, when my emotion tries to pull me in another direction, when the frustration on my job comes, not this time. I'm going to stand still until God gives me exactly what to do. But frustration ain't going to take over. Irritation ain't going to take over. I ain't got time to be worrying about how my job is making me feel, because I got to deal with it in the spirit. Because ain't nothing in the earth going to frustrate me this year. And I would like to see it try. Because I'm going to deal with it in the spirit. I got to deal with it in the spirit. You cannot afford to not deal with it in the spirit. I told you this on a different video. God is calling us closer to him. I said a lot of prophets prophesying houses, cars, and everything else. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But you know what the Lord told me? If you gonna get it, you gonna get it by way of me. You got to draw closer to me. You got to be in prayer. If you got to do a 48-hour fast every month just to clear your mind, whatever you got to do, you got to do it. Understand how resilient you've been thus far. And imagine if you was able to come out of that and you didn't even feel stable mentally, emotionally, financially, physically. Imagine when you get in the spirit and God gonna start telling you the areas. Hey, focus on this area in your mental. Because sometimes we think we got 50,000 things going on. God is saying, if you just pinpoint these two areas, everything else gonna seem simple. Everything else is gonna seem manageable in your body. You ask, why my body being stricken? Why don't I feel confident? Deal with this, and everything else gonna fall in place. Ask God what you need to be targeting. Ask God the areas in your life that needs improvement. Don't you try to figure it out. Because you will overwhelm yourself. And the devil will start telling you it's more wrong with you than you think. To keep you distracted. To make you feel like you ain't going to never get nothing right. Ain't nothing ever going to be right. And then you're going to start saying stuff. Oh my goodness, it's always something. You're resilient. You're strong. You're powerful. In God. I love y'all. We'll talk soon.